stai svegliando dal tuo sogno.
I just got on the train in Rome, where Camilla and Jamie are already on waiting for me. This is Camilla, while Jamie is behind the camera most of the time. They are coming from London, and we are going together to Pompeii to capture some images of the initiation rites of Dionysius and Persephone in the Villa of the Mysteries. While Camilla is retracing the Grand Tour, the initiation journey to Italy of the young British and of the greatest writers from the north of Europe. Siamo a Napoli?
No, credo che siamo ad Aversa.
Ah, siamo ancora ad Aversa qui?
No, Aversa.
Sì. Napoli è l'ultima fermata.
The last stop, reached only by the brave traveller, or by those like me who come back to where they were born, to look at it again through the camera of a foreigner.
Chanter ton histoire, il a chanté ta France.
The last stop where the barbarian looks for her original civilization, in order to discover differences, the lost keys to threshold experiences of enjoyment and risk. In Naples, there is the art of throwing things together, even in the most monumental architecture. The faded walls of palaces, art treasures forgotten under the stairs of ancient churches, tombstones coming to pieces, resist against time and history, though. Goethe wrote in one of his letters from Naples, "I do not recognize myself. Either I was mad before, or I am mad now."
Dans leur comique représentation, dans les petits théâtres populaires, parmi le cri de marchands, parmi les plaisanteries malicieuses de gamins, et le regard attentif de la monarchie.
The taxi has now reached Posillipo, where we'll be staying in a guest house run by Christ's little maids, in a mysterious place on the bay among inaccessible villas. This is uncharted territory for me too.
It's like going to open sesame, Aladdin's.
Uomo, cessa di essere uomo se vuoi arrivare in paradiso. Dio riceve solo altri dei.
Shall we go and eat something?
Lui solo, vicino, lo stesso tavolino, la birra gelata, gelata come noi, due morsi, un panino, amico cameriere, non fare il cretino, va via. Popcorn e patatine per ci arrivare, che magari è stato, che magari non può tornare.
Dazed by the kitsch of the restaurant but refreshed, we now find ourselves strolling in Via Posillipo by night, once a noble street where rich aristocrats lived in their villas on the slope descending to the sea through a net of narrow private paths, accessible only to its residents. One thing I forgot, which is crucial, to have my own coffee tomorrow. Have you seen any bar? Okay. I absolutely needed that coffee, like Vesuvius lava or the liquefying blood of Saint Gennaro. The small but strong cup of coffee is a fluid which gives body to the mystery of this place. But I also needed Jamie's foreign, alien, timorous gaze, filming the bowels I came from. No coffee. Also the poet Eleanor Pimentel Fonseca, a martyr of the 1799 Republican Revolution in Naples, asked for some coffee before starting towards the gallows. Exiled in Naples from Portugal since she was a child, adopts the Italian city and gets herself easily adopted by it. She soon realized that outroar, swarm, restlessness were the norm in the noisy alleyway where she lived. She immediately loved and learned the soft, rather lazy Neapolitan lilt.
I know very little about Eleanor Pimentel Fonseca. I know more about another woman who was also in Naples during the Jacobin Revolution. Her name was Emma Lyon. She was born in a poor village in Cheshire and later achieved fame as Emma Hamilton. Endowed with charm since she was a young girl, she was kept by rich aristocrats, among them the nephew of the British ambassador in Naples, Lord William Hamilton, the great collector of antiquities, which are now the treasure of the British Museum in London. His nephew Charles, who wished to get rid of Emma in order to gain an inheritance, handed over this precious volcanic stone to his uncle in Naples, and hesitantly William accepted the offer, succeeding in infusing in this Anglo-Saxon raw material the splendour of classical culture, knowledge, and art. Her status as a prostitute in her mother country finds its triumph in this noble land. In the midst of volcanic fumes, breezy and indolent daily nature, a city that shows off its beauty without modesty, to the terrace of her Posillipo villa.
Maybe Camilla too is looking for a permission to pleasure, to the anarchic and indolent note of human nature, whereas the self-exiled I am is revisiting Naples to seek the real representation of a dark hurt in the mystery of a birthplace we all forget. Any coffee? He doesn't either. It's dawn, and I sleep, but no Jamie, who with his small Sonny is squatting behind the balcony of this convent on water, spying the city which, still asleep under the sea blanket, is lingering over waking up. The sun is slowly dissipating the dawn mist, a veil which is preparing us to encounter the city's merciless light. Even the philosopher Benjamin, when in Naples for a conference, could not find anchoring points in the city. It seems to impose the unexpected return of his repressed origins, which Benjamin did not recognize, and therefore even the light and the colors of this place became grey as the sky of his own land.
Ies tour, scagliente temperatura, scannilla mira gin, cavallo fatiscente, Ies tour, 150, tutta la notte canta viola, l'umaster scola, manna accende frietta.
We are finally up. The sun is already high outside, while we linger a little longer in the half-light of the little monastery, grateful for the morning coffee which even the nuns did not leave us without. But we must go now. I have promised my friends the clearest sea in Mare Chiaro. We are going down to Mare Chiaro's rocks, from which one dives into the sea, and where both the Neapolitan and the foreigner bask in the summer sun.
Non può più sfamare partito bulli con piscia a passare così una vecchia rimessa zitella perché nessuno l'ha usata bunnetta se voglio un bicchiere tanto fortissimo. L'amore profondo, l'amore profondo, l'amore profondo.
Relaxed by the sun and by the clams, Camilla takes up again the story of Emma.
She found artistic inspiration in Naples, which made her celebrated all over Europe for her attitudes. They were living representations, poses, bodily expressions of the stories and emotions of mythological characters, nymphs and muses. The attitudes were studied and worked out by Emma and William with great care and enthusiasm.
First, when I came to the town, they called me young and moody. Now they changed my name, call me the Levi's
Circe, the way the painter Rodney had first represented her when Emma had been his model.
I'll dye my petticoats red, and I face them with a yellow. I'll tell the Deister lads that the Lee boys have to follow. It's over hills and dales and over
Saint Cecilia at prayer.
Say, will I like the lad who wears the moleskin breeches? The black horse draws the cart, and he's house bride as any. Say, will I like the lad that drives them home so canny? Featherbeds are afar, and painted
Medea.
rooms are money, but I will leave them all to jog away with Johnny. Oh, for Saturday.
But the big exhibition of Emma's life in Naples has only just begun.
General Horatio Nelson, the hero of the Battle of the Nile, arrived in Naples wounded and tired. It was for Emma to take care of him and bring him back to life and to be admired by the most admired man in Europe.
But it would be for Nelson to protect King Ferdinand's realm from the advancing threat of the French Revolution, by whose republican principles the Neapolitan aristocracy is inspired.
And the city, which applauds the excesses both of its puerile king and of the hoi polloi, accommodates this public ménage à trois of the three impassioned English. They find themselves upside down, dragged by the amoral flow of the city.
Signora, ma passa qui l'autobus? Ah, 20 minuti. Grazie.
Vedete un passaggio? Deve andare sopra.
Sì.
Vuoi da un passaggio?
Ma siamo in tre.
In tre? Ma mica ha ripreso anche noi questo qua, no? Ce li faccio là. No, non è...
Un passaggio.
Vuoi un passaggio?
Siamo in tre.
That was Camilla.
That was Camilla, yes. Sorry.
They did to me.
But the style. It's the style.
I was teasing my guests when I presented the pick-up of the two women, which excluded the cameraman, as an encounter with the Camorra. Maybe. I never experienced Camorra when young. I used to live in Naples. It was like a legend. I am now thinking about our poet Eleanor, who used to live among the hoi polloi, the Lazaruses, in a Spanish quarters alleyway among the city's crevices where life stirs. She's right inside its bowels without control.
L'altro non c'è, adesso sta ciao! Guarda un signorano uguale. Il sindaco di Napoli. Chi la lotta? Però tu te lo sei comprato. Il concerto è stato spesso anche mi sa comprato lo zaino di Superman. Un consiglio comunale a Napoli. Il gruppo di Forza Italia al Consiglio regionale Cosimo Sibia, per il quale Napoli non ha bisogno di leggi speciali, ma...
Here, Eleanor eagerly sucks Naples' valuable secrets. She feeds on culture and poetry. She elaborates works and creates, even becomes a court poet.
Io abito qua, vicino al palazzo qua, questo passo qua.
Eleanor lets herself go to the city's flow, inside its swarming alleyways, where sorrow, poverty, loves trickle out, together with the conversations of her intellectual and aristocratic friends in the rooms of the Cassano Palace with Giulia Carafa and her beloved son, Gennaro Serra. Yes, the palace door, which is still bolted shut to this day, kept the city out, since the young Gennaro was beheaded after the defeat of the short-lived Neapolitan Republic. The door will be kept bolted as long as the city representatives will carry on governing it in a complicity with crime. The only woman taking part at political meetings, Eleanor lets herself be dragged into the center of imminent ruthless events, in which she can no longer find some space for a dream, for an abandonment. Her political involvement with her Republican friends dragged Eleanor in the middle of a revolution and war.
C'è un bar qui dove c'è. Se vogliamo prendere il pollo, allora forse il bicchiere mi sa di più.
Il bicchiere grande, no? Che si capisce.
A bit tired after our swim in Mare Chiaro, we are going back to the little monastery, while the volcano seems accompanying us with a certain benevolence.
Scalinatella longa, 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 strettulilla, strettulilla, addostachilla, innamoratella, non spunta ancora zucca, zucca.
Yes, this is the Naples effect, the one which meets you when you are just wandering about, climbing down small steps, narrow stairs and wobbly stones. The walker observes the inside of houses, the Mediterranean nature which precedes history and has been left in its interstices, in the sunsets. One is attracted by smells, and her soul draws a secret harmony like music, voices of children who play in a courtyard, dogs and cats, cellars, the soundtrack of Naples, which is not baroque. It seems that the mystery is taking shape in the reverie of the walker, made up of thousands of signs and of an immense happiness. Naples effect, bombed buildings and fragments, which like a mosaic have a secret capacity to be part of the same fresco or symphony. The art of living of the populace, which doesn't want the Jacobin revolution, even when the criminal Camilla tries to hack into this happiness. Naples controls as it is.
Like Eleanor, the British ambassador William Hamilton also followed the city's flow, to which he had moved with his first wife, the delicate Catherine. She accompanied him on his volcanic excursions whenever her frail health allowed it. While in Paris the Bastille was opening its doors to the French Revolution, William contemplates the eruption of Vesuvius. He was excited by the challenge of his proximity to this geological revolution, as if he could control both this revolution and the historical one into which he was about to be involved.
What do you want to know, mio signore? The past, the future?
The volcano, il vulcano.
William's passion is in fact neither Catherine nor the war, but the imminence, always delayed, of a final and catastrophic eruption of Vesuvius.
Volcano. Do you want to know what you already know?
What he knows is the volcano's crudity, its holes, its strangeness, at times a demoniac one, its lava stones, its collector's dark objects. Another precious object was novel and fragile Catherine. Like William, she also produced an echo to her void through her all-consuming music. If Emma will be a volcano for William, the art of her attitudes lacks Catherine's solitary interiority. At Catherine's death, William looked for comfort on the volcano.
Close your eyes. Trust me, close your eyes.
I see nothing.
Not even your mother.
My mother. Over my dead body.
The only mother that William desires is the volcano's magma, that pleasure by which the southern mother exalts and annihilates you. He was looking for the warmth of the origins, not the cold beauty of his own mother.
We are on a train called Circumvesuviana, going towards the ancient Roman city, once buried by lava, and then slowly brought to light again in the stillness of its ruins. On the edge of the unearthed Pompeii, there is a Roman villa called the Villa of Mysteries, where some magnificent frescoes illustrate the initiation sequence of Dionysiac mysteries. We are waiting for Jenny, a musician friend, who wished to join in our visit to the mysterious villa. She is Welsh on her mother's side, but has adopted the paternal Parthenopean city for her everyday existence.
Noi da quando eravamo ragazzine volevamo sempre fare qualche cosa insieme.
Ricordi invece con la musica, nelle stanze che parlavamo, che volevamo cambiare il mondo attraverso le nostre cose, il nostro modo di esprimere, me con la musica, tu con i discorsi, con i libri.
abbiamo gli effetti speciali studiati alla Hollywood, no? Ma quello che caratterizza il cinema italiano, poi, noi siamo nella tradizione.
Noi l'abbiamo già ce l'abbiamo dentro la scoperta.
Però per poter poi produrre bisogna anche allontanarsi, no? Andata e ritorno.
Perché questa città ti ferisce, ti può fare anche del male.
Perché ti soffoca, perché Napoli è una madre gelosa che vuole possedere i suoi figli e il figlio che se ne va non è perdonato. Io torno a Napoli appunto con la macchina fotografica, no, piano piano, quasi senza farmi vedere. Napoli non ti scopri in incognito,
Timidamente, nascosta.
perché sono stata una figlia ribelle che se n'è andata, solo perché se n'è andata, ma non prodiga.
Io credo che il
posto è importante. Anche ispirandosi alla tua origine.
La mia musica viaggia, però parte da Napoli, parte sempre da Napoli, poi viaggia per il mondo, per l'Europa, però è qui, è giusto perché qui hai quell'animo di voler a tutti i costi riuscire a realizzare il tuo sogno.
The villa, which still imposes a perturbing silence on its visitors, now stands before the women who are about to enter it. They cross room after room, courtyard after courtyard. Up to the grate where some Pompeians were petrified by lava. They are still lying down in the gesture of surprise in which the 79 AD eruption of Vesuvius could them in. All like this little boy curling up against death.
La sento vicina la morte, vieni, come se avesse detto a questa morte vieni a prendere, sono qui, mi abbandono a te.
But now we are coming upon some satires giving up modesty.
Qualcosa di erotico? Is that masturbation? No.
More anxious than the others to reach Dionysius' room, I slip away alone from the lewd satires, crossing a threshold. As if by chance I find myself in the chamber of the frescoes. At the first glimpse I couldn't help turning away. One suddenly feels an intruder in a place where the action is already in progress, with figures slightly larger than human size. One feels like a participant in this living picture, without knowing what one's own place is. The villa's walls depict several events taking place at the same time, and the visitor is addressed by each wall with equal strength. One goes through obscure emotion, but doesn't know why. Who are you? I am Domina, the matron of the villa where the Dionysian initiation rites took place. A priestess, I introduce and preside over the rites in my own home, the villa, which is kept as a secret and private basilica. I initiate people to the Dionysian mysteries, which he learned from his mother Persephone in Eleusis, and even earlier in Crete, his birthplace and the cradle of the Orphic mysteries. Unlike Apollo, who moves in the higher circles of the Roman society, I move with Dionysus among both plebeians and philosophers, but overall among my loved ones, the women. I, Domina, initiate the wise to look beyond the veil of knowledge, the way my guide Diotima did with Socrates, and even earlier his mother, the midwife. It was from here in southern Italy that the mystery sprang up all over the Italian peninsula, through esoteric and secret societies like mine. The initiate makes her entrance holding away the veil which covers her lap. The woman moves the veil away from her body ambiguously. Is she hiding something? Is she hiding nothing? Is she pregnant? The veiled woman moves forward, listening to the sacred texts read by a little girl or by Dionysus himself as a child, under the guidance of either the priestess or his mother Persephone herself. Perhaps Persephone is transmitting to her son the mystery that her own mother Demeter transmitted to her in Eleusis. A maid is carrying a plate with food, offerings and libations.
Come la pasta con le patane, come un panino con le mulignane, una salsiccia sola in mezzo al pane, sono io per te.
So poi che tu sei un ristorante, non puoi stiamo in 2 giorni. È una cosa insomma è proprio bello, scusate, una buona pesce fresca. Niente di meno, tutto senza offesa, siamo la succursale del Golfo di Napoli, siamo comodi. Ma non vi preoccupate, senza offesa. Accomodate che poi dite.
Come un biscotto di castella a mare, un uovo fresco che ti puoi zuccare, un panzerotto caldo da mangiare, sono io per te. Come una birra che si è spiatata, come una busta che si è schiattata, una fontana che si è appilata, sono io per te. Come una macchina senza...
Oi vita mia, oi il Signore.
Come Pinocchio senza la fatina, praticamente come una mappina, questo sono io per te, ma io per te che rappresento un coppettillo di semente da sgranocchiare piano piano tra la gente. Sinafadente, sinafadente.
The offering of the sacred food is followed by a rite of veiling and unveiling a laurel twig. A priestess moves it from one basket placed on her left into another on her right. The priestess carries out this mysterious rite helped by two maidens. One holds the basket, and the other maiden pours purifying water. The satyr Silenus is playing the lyre, his gaze lost far away. The music, played by the satyr, who is half human and half goat, announces a world at the border of the human.
Si può sempre parlare di musica, specialmente quando vedi uno strumento così bello. Sì, questo è ancora più antico di quelli che uso io, perché uso del 1100, 1200, questo è antichissimo, il fatto è rudimentale, però questi strumenti hanno un'anima molto, molto particolare e siamo proprio all'origine del momento musicale, dell'ispirazione, del suono. Poche corde si riusciva a creare, si riusciva a cantare, si riusciva a suonare. È stato fatto tutto in musica, quindi bisogna andare proprio all'origine, da questi strumenti che così la gente costruiva con poche cose. Anche solo con la voce, con questo strumento potrei creare dei momenti magici.
Più che magico, il vino era lo strumento con cui Mercurio era solito iniziare gli dei.
But there are instruments which only produce seductive music.
Who isn't seduced by Emma? Not even the Queen of Naples, Caroline, the difficult sister of the French Queen Marie Antoinette about to be beheaded, is free from her seduction. The Queen visits her more than once a day at the Hamiltons' villa on the calm sea of the Posillipo, while Lord Hamilton tinkles away on the piano.
I must go to Nelson, he needs me. Ma va da Nelson, che gli fa male il braccio.
The French have already conquered Rome. They're marching towards Naples.
It's panic for Mary Caroline and King Ferdinand. Silenus' lyre leaves its place to Pan's whistle, the god of the whole, of both rural pleasures and the confusion between animal and human world. Like Dionysius, Pan has horns like a goat, and a goatling suckling at the breast of Pan's companion. The whole is overflowing human borders. You can hear war fanfares, the terror, the revolution. The French at Naples' doors, God the Pan brings panic to the two political factions of the city. But they have all, courtesans and noble Neapolitans, been invited to the Palace Serra di Cassano at Gennaro Serra's reception. Naples has become a mine. The king and his court are now wooing the Republicans. Naples could become Paris. Who will come to the Cassano Palace? A wandering Giulia Carafa, Gennaro Serra's sweet and well-educated mother, and her sister Maria Antonia, Princess Pignatelli, the Admiral Caracciolo, Luigia Sanfelice, and last but not least the Marquise Eleanor Pimentel, as are the scholar Chaya, Prince Colonna, Dr. Cirillo, Priest Conforti, and all those Republicans who hold the unexploded mine in their hands and who have been invited to the Cassano Palace on this day.
Ammiraglio Orazio Nelson, Lady Emma Hamilton, Harriet Lady Masbury,
nostro grande carattere.
Admiral Caracciolo's corpse, thrown into the sea after being hung on top of a vessel's mast under Nelson's and Emma's order, resurfaced before the very eyes of the king, who was on the ship taking him back to Naples from his flight to Sicily. Luigia Sanfelice was not involved in politics at all, but she was also later beheaded after a long imprisonment for having confided a secret plot against the Republic to her Jacobin lover in order to save his life.
Ah, a toast.
Meraviglia, vorrei tanto fare un brindisi con lei.
To Napoli. To Napoli. Napoli.
Io direi di...
At this point we are in front of the terrified matron. Here the initiate is put to a first test, and the impulse to hide with her veil and flee is the first dramatic phase of the action so far.
Oh, guarda!
Sua Maestà Ferdinando IV.
Tutta caghi sti fadienta.
Nor do good omens seem to come in the next scene. A monstrous mask held up by a satyr reflects itself in a cup of water held in Silene's hands. It must be spoiling Narcissus' exalting image reflected in the water. Nor do good omens seem to come for the two women of our story, both engaged in the city's political business, but on the two opposite banks. Emma was both manipulating and being manipulated by the Bourbon royal family, with the rascals of the populace, and by her lover Nelson. Whereas Eleanor was confronted with the city's two opposite forces, the enlightened aristocracy and the ignorant plebs with no strength. Those very plebs were the weak spot of republican politics, fishermen, smugglers, thieves, down-and-outs, but all prouder than a king. Perhaps that's why they get along with King Ferdinand. He goes fishing with them and sells the fish. Eleanor and her friends believe they are speaking up for the interests of the plebs, which instead loved the king, a scoundrel like themselves, who admired the distance between the court's disorderly and frivolous luxuries and the abject bondage of their own lives.
No, è australiano. Australiano. Sì, sì. Sì. E lei parla inglese? Parla inglese lei? Oh,
poi quei due putti sono della... Sì, ma sono quello, è un quadro famosissimo di una... Con la telecamera di Napoli? Sì, io sì. Perché no, dopo.
Chiudere no.
No, stanno dicendo...
Be careful because you have a lot of still people over there and you still your camera. Be careful.
Grazie.
Close and put on your coat.
Grazie.
Mi piace Napoli. Bellissimo, ci piace Napoli.
When the king fled to Palermo, taking with him all the money from the realm's coffers, he left the city at his own mercy, with the French marching towards its gates. You can see cannons pointing on top of Castelnuovo Castle.
Emma will help the royal family to flee secretly with all their children and the court on Nelson's ship the Vanguard towards the king's second home in Palermo, Sicily, on the southernmost edge of southern Europe.
The French commander Championnet enters the city the Bourbons have abandoned. The Neapolitan Jacobins take over the city's government and try to seduce the populace, which had opposed the French ferociously. The Republicans even managed to have sanguinarious blood liquefying out of its established time. With this irregular bleeding, they were upsetting the cyclical processes of the city's feminine body. In the meantime, Eleanor has become the editor-in-chief of the Republican paper The Neapolitan Monitor, while the Bourbons were organizing their return and their revenge.
But when the English reconquered the city, Emma was the Queen's most ardent supporter. It was she herself who, on behalf of Nelson, drew up the list of all the Republican aristocrats to be hung, beheaded, or slaughtered.
Meanwhile, blood was flowing throughout the realm, and the troops gathered by Cardinal Ruffo were reconquering Calabria, Basilicata, Apulia, and heading for the capital. The streets of Naples literally appear as the never-healing wounds of the city.
dici la filmina. Vabbè. Gesù, proprio, va.
I think that she wants to be there.
Gesù, ma l'emozione. Saranno filmini. Il sensore in cosa.
Les deux qu'elle parle.
Salvi, no? Fai girare questo film, si sta girando.
Le dialogue, they speak together. E poi...
Parliamo roba faverissima, roba. Che c'è? Lasciano filmini, non distrai. Stiamo facendo filmiamo, fanno film.
Che regina?
Leonò, siamo fottuta.
Pigliamo solo un caffè. Eleanor refuses to go into exile. She had always understood that people were to be educated in an infinite operation beyond herself. And when Emma Hamilton convinced Nelson not to recognize the Republicans' capitulation, Eleanor's body was one of the first to be hanged in the market square, among the headless bodies of so many Neapolitan aristocrats. Before fate, you can only do the rest of nothing. The nothing the Neapolitan Republic was, with that gap, that cut it left in the city's unhappy history.
Do you have a last wish?
Una cazzurella e caffè.
Signor Conte Sonqualesta, con lo zucchero e il caffè. Sonqualesta, con lo zucchero e il caffè. Ma perché con faccia mesta, così torbido, perché? Signor Conte Sonqualesta, con lo zucchero e il caffè, con lo zucchero e il caffè.
Ah, tu sorrisetta mia, col tuo brio, con gli occhi tuoi, dissipar tu sola puoi la crudel malinconia che nel cor fissa mi sta, che nel cor fissa mi sta.
The lyre's divine music and the deforming mirrors of old Silenus are announcing the culminating moment of the mysteric sequel, the ecstasy of the divine couple, a broken image itself because of the corrosion of time.
Padre, perdona loro. Ecco, donna, tuo figlio. Ecco, la madre tua.
Camilla.
Dionysus, in Persephone's arms, inebriate with wine and love, looks abandoned in an ecstatic and feminine enjoyment, or like a blissful baby on a mother's lap, or even the dead son in Mary's arms. But beyond birth and death, the Dionysian mother seems here to be initiating the son to the mystery of a divine intimacy. The most sacred action will now take place, the unveiling of the phallus. The initiate, kneeling down, lifts the veil from a basket which contains the emblems generators of fecundity. The phallus is a fleeting apparition behind the veil, when suddenly a whip prevents the culmination of the unveiling act. A feminine winged divinity, Idas, demon of shame, appears suddenly with the vibrating of her whip. The phallus almost appears between ecstasy and shame. With his whip, the phallus, so extraordinarily erect, conceals while concealing itself. Why that pallor of a kneeling woman hiding her face in her companion's lap? Is it because Idas is raising the whip? Because of her sterility? Or because she is showing her masochist enjoyment? The eternal suffering of women is transfigured into the frantic pleasure of the exuberant body of the Bacchant. In the joyful intoxication of the dance. But what happens when the Bacchant's body, mortified and possessed by the demon, goes wild with joy, tears itself to shreds? The body will be recomposed before the mirror held by the small Cupid. The girl gets ready for the symbolic wedding with the god, combs her unkempt hair, which is hanging over the voluptuous eyeshadows of someone who has gone through extraordinary events and appears now in a post-ecstatic serenity.
What can you see in the mirror?
Yeah, I can see you.
Yeah?
Quello che non c'è si vede, quello che non si vede, non si vede.
In the corner, at the threshold of the room, Cupid watches in waiting the initiate trying to recompose her broken and deformed image in her mirror.
No, hanno messo solamente questa cordicella per far sì che la gente può vedere da fuori, senza, diciamo, inoltrarsi.
He must have known that that little cord had been ignored.